Was he overrated or underrated? Let's go. First off, we've got Paul Pogba, who fits this absolutely like a glove. Because on one hand, how good he was at Juve, and in the odd game at United, and obviously for France, he was outstanding, mate. That bloke could ball. But on the other hand, for United, in most games, he was absolutely tragic. He was tragic. This one's a tough one because how can you go from that good to that bad? But you know what? As much as I love him, and on his day, he was incredible. It's not just a meme. He was overrated. He didn't do it enough, especially when you know what player was in there. Gareth Bale, absolutely underrated. The bloke did absolutely nothing wrong in his career. He just struggled with injuries at Real Madrid. When he played, he was outstanding, and he probably is the best British player I've ever seen in my life. I do think he's more fairly rated because people they agree how good he was. But I will not be having none of this overrated shit. Nah, get out of here. Mario Balotelli, completely overrated. Was he good for vibes? Was he good for stories in the press? I mean, yeah, he was funny, wasn't he? He was funny to have around the place. He was an absolute nut job, but completely overrated. He did have his moments, and he was a talented footballer, but he didn't do nowhere near enough. Moving on, Eden Hazard. I think Eden Hazard is fairly rated. Because if you watch him in the Premier League, you'll know how good he was. And he probably is a little bit underrated by a lot of fans because he's truly one of the very best who ever did it in the Premier League. But at Real Madrid, obviously, again, he struggled with injuries. I don't think he really did anything wrong himself. He put on a little bit of weight. Maybe he didn't look after himself the best he could have. But I do think he is the kind of player, it's like, if you're not on the pitch, like, his motivation probably wasn't there. Because Hazard was a maverick. He was such a good, technically gifted footballer. So, I mean, if you're from the La Liga side, the Real Madrid side, you probably think he's overrated. And then if you're from the Premier League side, underrated. So maybe fairly rated if you marry them both together. Mesut, do you know what? I'm going to say fairly rated for Mesut. Like, he was absolutely outstanding at Real Madrid. Like, truly majestic. What a player. And he had his moments at Arsenal where he showed his flashes. I don't think he was as good consistently at Arsenal as he was at Real. But that kind of role when you're the playmaker, the flair player, you can't consistently do that game in, game out. So I'm not going to shit on him too hard. I'm going to say he's fairly rated. Fernando Torres, overrated or underrated? I'm going to say underrated, you know. Only because it's just one of them names that just seems to slip away from memory. And it's sad because when he was in his pomp, he was the best striker in the world for me. I think he had a good 12 months plus maybe of being literally the very, very best striker in the world. He was so good, he had the lot. He was fast, strong, he could finish. He had the techers. He was such a good player, man. I think he was a little bit underrated because he's one of the best strikers in his prime that I've seen. Romelu Lukaku, I think, definitely 100% is underrated. He's a bit of a meme now, and people shit on him as if he was bad, but he's played for so many teams in the Prem. West Brom, Everton, Chelsea, Man U, and he scored goals. He just scored goals. Look at him on the top scorers of the Premier League list. He got a lot of goals. And then obviously he's done it at Inter. I mean, he has failed at some clubs, don't get me wrong, but overall, he's continued to score goals. His Belgian record is outstanding. So for that reason, I'm saying he's underrated because most people don't rate him. Angel Di Maria, again, we will put him in the underrated pile for sure. One of the very best playmakers, footballers from the wide positions of his era for sure. Key player for Real Madrid when he was there. Key player for Argentina. Excellent footballer, man. Really bad at Man United, though. You can't have it all. Sergio Busquets. I mean, I think most football people rate him, so I would be inclined to say fairly rated. But if you think he was overrated, then move on, because football isn't for you. Absolutely unbelievable footballer. The orchestrator. He had no pace, and even though he was big, he wasn't the strongest. But could you get the ball off him? No. All you had to do is sidestep once, and you're sliding across the turf and the other way. And Jadon Sancho, definitely overrated. He had a good start to his Chelsea career, but then even now that's on the rocks and it doesn't look like that move, the permanent move, is going to happen. Even though it's obliged, I mean, I did see something on it, but I didn't read it. But Sancho was really good at Dortmund, literally one of the best in Europe. To see what he's done at United and then he's the fall off at Chelsea, it's like, is this the same player? Or does he just not suit Premier League football whatsoever? Let me know in the comments.